Nightshift radio station. There is a radio show in Mexico called La Mano Peluda, the Hairy Hand. It has been on the air for over 20 years, and it used to broadcast after midnight. Every night, real people call into the show and share disturbing stories that have happened to them or supernatural events that they have experienced. I used to listen to the show every night. After I went to bed, my parents didn't like me listening to it, but I turned the radio down low so they couldn't hear. A few years ago, I heard one story that chilled me to the bone. A lady called in and said her son was trying to kill her. Here is a transcript of the recording. Caller: Senor Carlos, help me. Please help me. My son wants to kill me. Host: Let's see. Calm down, Senora. Tell me what happened. Caller: For 7 months now, my son has been playing the Ouija board at night. Did not take it seriously, but now he speaks in another language and says strange words. He says that he wants to kill me and his brothers. He is very strong, much stronger than any normal 13-year-old boy. He tried to kill the dog with a knife, and today, no, please don't, no. Host: Senora, what happened? Tell me, Senora. Are you still on the line? Caller: Help me, please. My son is levitating in his bed. My God, he is floating. He is floating, help me, please. His eyes are all white, and he has a knife. Madre Dios, what do you want? Leave my son alone, oh God, Senor Carlos, someone help me. At this point in the recording, screaming and crying are heard in the background, and all of a sudden, the call is cut off. For the next 3 days, the host of the radio show kept playing the recording over and over, asking for the lady to call in again. He also asked the public to identify her so they could try and get her some help. Eventually, a young man called into the show and said he had some information. This is a transcript of the recording. Caller: I have information about the lady you are looking for, Senor Carlos, but it is better that you stop playing with what you don't understand. Look no more into it. He is strong. He can kill you. Just walk away. Announcer: What are you talking about? What is your name? Tell me. I am telling you to be careful. I told you to leave it alone, you idiot. Please don't do anything. Just listen carefully to the recording. Listen. At that point, the call was cut off. The next day, the host of the radio show had some specialists on, and they analyzed the first recording of the lady who called in. Using various techniques, they were able to isolate and enhance the screams and cries at the end of the recording. At first, it sounded like there were several people screaming and crying at once. When they played one of the isolated voices, I swear to you, it chilled me to the bone. The voice was just an echo, but it said, I'll kill you, bitch. I'll kill everyone. And if you're still asking for help, I'll kill them too. Nobody will help you. Help you. It was horrible because the echo was very distant but very clear. Weeks later, another man called in to the radio show. He was very frightened, but he said he was willing to tell the host what had happened during the recording. Look, Senor Carlos, I will tell you about the day that lady called in. Her name is Senora Julia, and she is the caretaker of a building in an area south of Mexico. Late one night, I and 10 other residents in the building heard anguished cries. They were coming from the home of Senora Julia. We all rushed onto our balconies, which faced toward the courtyard where her home is. We heard her screaming, and several men, including myself, went down to her house to find out what was happening. We forced the door open and saw her with the telephone in her ear, asking someone for help. That someone we later learned was you. Just then, we heard screaming and crying throughout the building. It was so strong that it stunned us for a moment. Senora Julia hung up the phone and ran to us, pleading with us for help. When we asked why, she said there was something wrong with her boy. Seriously, senor, I have never seen anything like it before or ever since. We were all petrified with fear. We saw her eldest son, and I don't know if you can believe this, but he was floating. He was about 3 feet off the floor. His eyes were blank, and he had an evil smile on his face. I do not know how to describe it. He was smiling from ear to ear, and it was a debauchable smile. In his hand, he was holding a large knife, and it was dripping with blood. The neighbors didn't know what to do. We asked the lady what was happening, and she just said he wanted to kill everyone. We ran out of the house into the courtyard, but the boy followed us. He was in the middle of the courtyard, floating in the air and babbling in a strange language. All the neighbors saw it. Some began to shout and others began to pray. One man tried to stop the boy by pulling on his foot. We helped him, wrestled the boy to the ground. He was passed out and his eyes were rolling back in his head. But he would not let go of the knife. We did the only thing we could think of, senor. We called the priest. At that point, the recording cut off. The host of the radio show said he had tried to communicate with the lady and the man, but because neither of them had given their names, all of his attempts were unsuccessful. They spent months analyzing the previous recordings. It specialists said only that the young man must be possessed by a strong, demonic spirit, and without more information, there was nothing they could do. According to the host, the radio show had to change its schedule because of the call. Afterwards, staff claimed they heard whispering voices, cries, and moans in the building after midnight. On more than one occasion, a member of the radio show staff was thrown against a wall or beaten savagely by someone or something that was not physically there. One audio technician was seriously injured in a car accident, which he said was caused when the ghostly face of a young boy appeared on the windscreen as he was driving. The staff of the radio show were so afraid, they complained to the producers and threatened to quit. The producers were forced to reschedule the show so that it started at 10 p.m. and finished just before midnight. No one was working night shift again.